Kate? Kate! Kate!
I'm over here.
Kate, where are you? Oh, Kate.
Right here.
Kate.
I'm right here.
Oh, God.
I'm right here.
Oh, okay. I have bad news.
What?
I forgot the marshmallows.
You what?
I forgot the marshmallows for the s'mores.
You forgot the marshmallows. There's a goddamn 7-Eleven right outside these goddamn fucking woods.
There is
you
a
had
witch.
one job. You had one job. I got dark chocolate. I got Reese's.
There is a
and you had one job.
a witch after us, and we have to record this podcast. So can we focus on the bigger picture?
That doesn't even make sense. Why would we record a podcast with a witch following us?
Well, the new Blair Witch movie came out this week, so yeah, we should probably talk about it because that seems like a franchise. And welcome to Franchise Friends. This week we're going to be covering the Blair Witch Project series. We're going to skip the Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows because technically that exists in a different universe if you want to get really technical about it. But as always, I'm your host, Tyler Costel, and joined with me is always
Kate Strollo.
The beautiful, the one, the only.
Goddamn right.
And welcome to Franchise Friends, episode 5, everyone. Here we are, episode 5, Kate. How's it feel?
Feels amazing, Tyler.
We're actually on iTunes. You can follow us there. This week we saw the new Blair Witch, but before we get into that, I think it's about time that we finally talk about our thoughts on the year so far.
Yeah, I don't think we've quite had that conversation yet.
I think we always bring up movies where we really want to talk about them, but it never fits into the program, and this seems like the best opportunity. To begin with, why don't we look at our list that we've both made and see what our top 3 are, see how many of them we actually match. I'm kind of interested to see what your favorite top 3 were.
So these aren't really in any particular order, but
if you could start with your number 3. I
just said they're in no particular order. So I'm just going to Russian roulette this bitch and pick one for you.
You go crazy. Okay, thank you.
So I think one of the top movies of this year actually kicked off the summer season. It was one of our first movies here. I really liked The Nice Guys.
The Nice Guys, Shane Black. Killing it.
Ryan Gosling.
That movie, Ryan Gosling, Russell Crowe. Yeah. Don't get it confused with Kurt Russell. That always happens with me. I always think in movies, I'm like, is that Kurt Russell or Russell Crowe? But no, to get back to the movie, that was one of the best movies of the summer.
Yeah.
It's...
I'm really disappointed about how under the radar it was. I thought it was a really great movie. It was smart. Hilarious. It was witty. I would love to see a sequel to that movie, which I very rarely find myself thinking. I would even love to see a Netflix series if someone just picked it up and made a 10-episode series of those two just getting drunk and fighting 1960s crime. I'd love it. I thought it was great.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I would love to see a Netflix series with these two. Give me 10 episodes of these two guys solving different crimes.
Crumbs.
Crimes.
They're solving the crumbs of the cookies that were stolen from the cookie jar.
Oh, my God, yeah. My number 3 was Star Trek Beyond.
Okay, that was an honorable mention for me.
It was a big surprise for me. Had no real hope for another. I had no real interest in another Star Trek after Into Darkness. It really felt like J.J. Abrams obviously was aiming for his future. He wasn't paying too much attention to this series as much as he should have. He went on to do Star Wars. But with Star Trek, it just felt like Into Darkness was a weird reboot, remake of just Star Trek.
Yeah, I feel like that was hands down the best blockbuster type movie of this summer.
Yeah, right?
Out of all of them that came out from the major studios that were supposed to be these big splashy film fests, I think that was definitely number one.
I really liked everyone's performance in it too.
Good acting.
Chris Pine has been killing it this year. I think he's He's been in very different roles than he's ever played, and I think that this is the most dynamic Captain Kirk we've seen him do. But yeah. So what would be your number 2 for favorites of the summer?
So are we talking summer or are we talking all year?
Okay, so what is your number 2 of the whole year? So far. It's 2016. Here we are living in a post-Suicide Squad year.
We'll get to that. Era. I'm going to pick Deadpool.
Nice.
A large part of Deadpool for me was the marketing. Yeah. I thought it was great. I thought it really pushed the limits of what a lot of major studios are willing to do nowadays. Ryan Reynolds was amazing in that role. It was definitely a breakout for him, even though he's been in a lot of other movies.
It felt like his child. This movie, you could tell he wanted to be this character for so long.
Yeah, he's very passionate about it, and I think that's why they were able to get so much promo out of him, is because he actually enjoyed doing it. All those dumb little clips they put together, all the different posters. It was an amazing marketing campaign, and the movie didn't disappoint at all. I thought the movie was hilarious.
It was much more than I was expecting it, honestly. Because of the production companies it came out under. Was it Sony or Fox?
I believe it was Fox. Yeah.
Because the X-Men. I didn't have high hopes. I did not believe that Fox would let them make this movie. And within the opening credits, you knew right away this was something special. You could tell this was like, oh, this is a film people cared about while they were making. And you know what the funny part is? It's being claimed, like, it gets this... It gets this praise of being such a unique movie, but really when you watch it, it's a generic superhero movie. The actual plot is very generic, but the way the character is written, the way he interacts with the audience and the scenery, he chews it up and it works. It changes the whole spectrum. Even though it's the same storyline that we've become so accustomed to, it works.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, not to get too... Listen, it's cold out here in the woods. You think the witch is going to get us soon?
I think we're safe.
We should probably get over this. All right, let's...
I gave her some Reese's, so she'll hold her over.
No, that's E.T. That's E.T.
Shit.
He's not even in a franchise, so we can't even cover him. God damn it. So number 1, what was your favorite?
Well, you didn't give me your number 2.
Oh, my number 2. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
My God.
Here, actually ask for my number 2.
So, Tyler, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is a little flick called 10 Cloverfield Lane. I thought it was amazing. It was everything I could have asked for in a weird anthology series. And honestly, it's one of the best thrillers I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Where you just get lost in the whole world. The set direction, the actual direction, the acting, the cinematography, everything came together. It felt like a great episode of The Twilight Zone or Black Mirror.
I love what they did with that space. A majority of the movie is taking place in this little underground bunker where there's really just a couple of rooms, but they made such a compelling story just from that scenery. And I think a lot of that falls on the actors and it falls on the director. I thought that movie was great. I actually really liked the ending. I know some people had issues with that. I thought it was really cool because
spoilers.
It's not a direct sequel to Cloverfield, actually, and that's what they've been telling us this entire time. But I just love to have a little bit more of a peek into that universe, into that world, and what's happening.
I mean, if the stories even have nothing to do in the same universe, but if we get a new Cloverfield movie each year, I'd be so happy. Just to see where they go with it, like what's the Dr. Cloverfield or what's the next Cloverfield going to be? Are we going to get a sequel to this one? Are we going to see it? Spoiler alert. Actually, we won't. I want to spoil the third act, but it does end on a huge mark, which is very different than any other movie you've really ever seen, because the movie is a huge crescendo to this moment that is so out of left field. you don't feel ready for it when it comes.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's one of the best movies of the year. The director has proven himself as obviously a huge fan of sci-fi. Can't wait to see more from him.
This was his first major film, right?
Yeah, it was.
Right at Temple Film School.
He's doing an episode of Black Mirror, which I'm very excited to see. Yeah, his name is, I think, Danny Trachtenberg. I think that's how you say it, right?
Yeah. Danny Trachtenberg.
If you actually follow his Instagram, it's really interesting because he does a ton of behind the scenes stuff, and he posts all the time the stages that they built for Cloverfield Lane, and it's really interesting to see how they built this set and how they built it around the shots that they were creating. I think it's worth a follow, and honestly, we'll probably link it in our info this week because I tell everyone out there, like, this is how you should see how movies are being made. This is a guy who gets it. He's a true fan of it.
Yeah.
This is why I want a Twilight Zone remake, but I guess that's what Black Mirror is. Okay, so let's move on to number 1. What was your favorite movie of the summer?
So my favorite was actually 10 Cloverfield Lane. My favorite movie of the year.
Can I tell you?
So I think in lieu of that, I'll whip out one of my other honorable mentions that I think is worth at least talking about.
Not to cut you off, can I also mention, because we're actually at a same stalemate, my number 1 for the year was The Nice Guys. So we both kind of cancel each other out. So we both wrote down honorable recommendations. Why don't we just skip over to that?
Okay.
Because we already said all we can say about those 2 movies.
Okay.
It's a good list.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. The Conjuring 2.
Yes. All right, cool.
Yeah. Movie scared the shit out of me.
It was it was a good horror movie.
Yeah.
It was a great sequel.
I like the Conjuring movies because they don't rely that much on jump scares. I feel like the horror is just built up so much.
If you hate a movie because it happens to have a jump scare
then you can go fuck yourself.
You need to relax.
Yeah.
Some jump scares are good, like that adrenaline rush where you're oh shit.
Yeah.
Even It Follows had it. Even the big ones. Even The Witch, where everyone claims it's like this huge great. It had jump scares in it. But anyway.
Yeah, I liked it, and I'm very children creep me out a lot.
Ugh,
so having the main character be this little child that's possessed by what you think is an old man, but is actually this very demonic presence, that definitely got under my skin.
Those movies do really good classic horror.
They do. They do a really great job.
It feels like a 70s or 80s horror movie.
Yeah, the couple that plays, is it Bob and Lorraine?
Yeah, Bob and Lorraine. They're the couple that's known for doing the Amityville Horror, the Amityville Horror house. Did you know that?
Yeah, they've done a ton of the high-profile cases across the world. I think this was one of the first that took them over to the UK.
Yeah, but they're a little bit of a fraud with the Amityville.
Oh, they really?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious with the Amityville thing. But it's very interesting. I love this. I love these movies because there's my friend Gabe. You know Gabe, our good friend here, Gabe. He once said it's cool because there's like physical demon fighting, where in like The Exorcist it's just kind of splashing a little bit of holy water. But in these movies they're saying holy curses, going, "Our Father who art in heaven," and he's like screaming, throwing his hand. You're kind of actually battling the ghosts or demon. It's fun. But The Conjuring 2, it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see a Conjuring 3. I'm down for that.
I would be down. Yeah, exactly. This should be also another Netflix series.
I was just about to say that. I'm surprised a network hasn't bought some of their cases up and just made some sort of like X-Files type series with it.
Just a haunting series, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It's like real life ghost hunters.
Exactly.
You know?
It's weird that there's so many reality ghost hunting shows.
That are just ass awful.
Think about how weird that is.
So bad.
There are like at least half a dozen terrible reality ghost hunting shows, but not even one good fiction one. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. They should do an American Horror Story on one of their cases.
I bet you they will. That'd be interesting.
That'd be kind of cool.
We'll have to catch up this time So, do you want to hear my honorable mention?
No.
No?
No.
Should we just move on to disappointments?
Please tell me your honorable mention.
My honorable mention is Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice.
Clarify, theatrical or extended?
Extended, but
Okay.
I will also say that I like this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. Zack Snyder should be passing the mantle off after this point because it just seems like we need to get better directors in the DC universe. But this movie alone, I loved it. I had a lot of fun. I love Ben Affleck as Batman. I enjoyed Wonder Woman. I didn't mind Doomsday as much. I wish they didn't reveal it in the trailers, and it would have really helped the movie to have that as a surprise instead of just something known. But
If
it's a very polarizing film because people will argue like, "Wow, your taste in movie is terrible because you like this movie." Hey, I kind of like the grittier Batman novels. And even saying that, people are going to say, yeah, but at least those novels are written well. This movie, and it's like, okay, calm down. This is a cool story. It's cool to see this actually happen on screen. I've never seen anything close to this on screen. And to actually go to the movie theater and see it, I was blown away. And the director's cut, the ultimate cut, is pretty entertaining. We already talked about this in the Suicide Squad episode.
Okay. I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions to help clarify to our listeners. If you could give Zack Snyder a piece of advice when directing
I don't know, man.
Justice League, what would you say? If you could offer up any piece of advice to him.
Oh, yeah, let me just give the director 300 advice. Here's the thing. He's a good director. He's a good director.
Yeah, exactly. This is completely theoretical. I'm just saying, from as a fan who did enjoy Batman, what do you want him to know? As like a fan who did enjoy the movie, what do you want him to know? What do you think he could do differently?
I would tell him, you are a good director. Take the time. Think it out.
Okay.
You're a good director. I wouldn't really know what advice to really give him. Does that sound... like I'm just saying... I mean, when it comes to mine, if I ever had the chance to talk to him, I would say, you're awesome. I love Watchmen. I love 300. I love a lot of his movies. He's a director who I admire, and I think he does a good job when he slows down. It looks like Justice League might be his redemption, but I am excited for the DC Universe to be in a couple different hands. Like, it's going to be interesting seeing James Wan, after we just talked about The Conjuring 2, to see him working on...
Yeah, that's exciting.
Aquaman. That's insane. Like, think the director of The Conjuring, Conjuring 2, Aquaman. What is that going to be like? That's insanity. I love it. Like, these are the type of direct. That's why with David Ayer with Suicide Squad, it was so disappointing because it's a unique director, but they didn't really go. It didn't work out.
That's true, and I think you've provided the perfect landing point for us to talk about our biggest disappointments of 2016.
Biggest disappointments. Wait. Quiet. Do you hear that? Is that the witch?
I think it might be Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah, that's just Bigfoot. Okay. Bigfoot, get out of here.
Bigfoot, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get out of here, Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
I love lasagna.
Bigfoot? No.
Oh, my God. It was just Finn.
Oh, that's right. It was our dog Finn.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, back to the biggest disappointments of the year. So let's start off with our number 3. Go, Catherine.
This wasn't necessarily my number 3, but just to continue this conversation a little bit, Suicide Squad was horribly disappointing to me. I couldn't have comprehended how awful that movie was going to be before I sat in my seat. I didn't think it was that bad, like that possible to make a movie that awful. I basically watched a dumpster fire on screen for 3 hours.
And the worst part is I feel like I went into that movie thinking I'm going to give this the biggest benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I'm going to be lenient and I'm going to enjoy my time. But after 10 to 15 minutes of the same atrocious editing. I just kept thinking, I can't watch this anymore.
That was awful.
It was bad. That was my number 2, by the way. So I guess
think they gave it to a
cross that off.
5-year-old to edit, and they were just clicking buttons and.
I mean, we talked for like about a whole hour on this whole movie.
We did. So we don't need to drag it out anymore.
Yeah,
but
it's. I think it'll be better on a rewatch because I'll know where it's going, and I think I'll know not to be so excited.
I will give it the benefit of the doubt if they come out with a director's cut, given the issues that they had and how over 50% of what he did was initially scrapped. So maybe if that's still out there,
it'd be interesting to see a clean cut of this. Like, give the raw footage out. I made a joke that they should make a director's cut where or they should release a editor's cut where it's all the raw files from the movie and you could just edit your own version of it. Wouldn't that be great?
That would be great.
Like, I want to see all the raw footage and go, I bet you there's a really great movie here. Because you can feel it. You can feel it throughout. There's great performances. There's good cinematography. There's not that bad direction. There's just little piss-poor dumb villains. And we could go on and on about this. But it's just a train wreck. Yeah. So I get real passionate. I love the DC universe, and I wanted that to be so much better than it was.
Fingers crossed for Wonder Woman.
I'm excited for Wonder Woman.
God bless.
That actually looks great. That might be my... Ooh, we'll get into that later. But so my number 3, that was my number 2, Suicide Squad. But my number 3 was Jason Bourne. That was yours?
That was my number 2.
All right, this is a great crossover.
Jason Bourne.
We just crossed each
My
other's
God, it's Jason Bourne.
Jason Bourne. A movie that didn't realize it had a good series under its belt, was very half-assed made.
Yep.
I think was just a rehash.
Boring.
Kind of a lot, like, it kind of reminds me of what we're going to be talking about later on with Blair Witch. Not to be a spoiler about it, but it just... Again, we're just taking the title and calling it, well, this is the Jason Bourne story. Where it was actually, it's a snowed-in Facebook drama side story that's supposed to be as big. Oh, we're going to kill off one of the main characters who you've always loved throughout the whole series. That it's not a big deal. Oh, we're actually not going to develop this character any further than we ever have before when we had the perfect chance to. Oh, it's been 10 years and he's just fucking boxing people in the fucking Saudi Arabia. I'm very upset about this movie.
I couldn't really even tell you the plot of this movie. I've already forgotten.
Yeah, I just sounded...
It's already out the window for me.
Oh, I just sounded like a rambling madman? No, I was describing...
You regurgitated the script, basically, word for word.
No, I only talked about the first act. I talked about the first act. That's the worst part. Like, there's 30 more storylines.
30 more awful storylines. Yeah, they tried to tie in this kid who owned this company that was very clearly supposed to be Facebook that just made zero sense or
and
contribution.
Jason Bourne is just like this mystery shadow that just happens to walk in at the right moment at the right time. He's always just like walking in going, what's going on? And he shoots something. He has no actual character development or conversation in the whole movie.
No, he just was pulled in. If I were him, I'd be like, y'all are crazy. I'm leaving. I'm going back to Saudi Arabia and doing my little fight club.
We're both huge fans of the actual series, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad because I remember showing you them. And I grew up with these movies. They were really big with me. My grandfather took me to the premieres of most of them. Yeah. He would actually take me to the movie theaters.
That's cool.
I don't know, like 13 or whatever.
Just little Tyler.
Yeah.
Did you want to be Jason Bourne when you were younger?
He took me to see Supremacy, and I remember thinking, he has never seen any of these movies. What is it like to watch this movie at 80 and go, well, Matt Damon's doing it again? Okay, so, Kate, what was your number 1 disappointment for 2016 so far?
Well, again, these aren't really in any order because I think Suicide Squad disappointed me more than this movie. But I had high hopes for Warcraft.
Oh, we got a winner. That's exactly what I said.
Oh my God, we think alike. It's
we
so
really
cute.
did. It's funny. Oh my God.
To be fair, I thought the orc scenes were well done. I thought they were interesting.
Beautiful.
I liked they did
Really
with the
good.
character development. If you gave me a movie full of orcs, I probably would have liked it.
I think if
more.
you cut that movie, if you cut out all the human scenes, it would probably be a decent 80-minute movie.
Because those human scenes were
Atrocious.
terrible.
They felt like your community theater acting.
Yeah, there was nothing good about
like
those
just
scenes.
generic lighting. Okay, you're on a green screen, and go act. Okay, let me read the line. Okay, we got it. Let's move on. This is costing too much to shoot. We got to keep going.
The acting was
It
just
was so
atrocious.
bad.
Like it was as if they were reading from a cue card, and I don't know. I didn't really like the costume design and the set design with the humans. I thought it was so just out of a storybook. It wasn't like real or functional to me.
That's what.
I get it. I get that's what Warcraft is.
I mean, if you argue that, that's kind of a big playing point because I didn't mind it for that because the aesthetic looked real. This was obviously playing to fanfare, but that's also a problem because you're not a fan of the series, so that took you out of it. Where their biggest audience, they love that little detail. And so think about, and I agree, it didn't work for me. What didn't work was their acting and their whole portrayal of the humans.
That took me right out of it.
They could be wearing these crazy costumes, and if they really sold it, I would have been all on board. But anytime it cut to a human, it was almost impossible to watch.
I just wanted to go to sleep, yeah.
It was cringeworthy. It was cringe, like, you just wanted it to end. Please cut away. The wizards. Oh, can we?
That wizard.
Oh, God. So much sass. So much sass for a wizard. Like, I'm at a loss for words. I feel like there's a spell over me. I can't tell you.
The second I saw, this is coming from someone who has zero knowledge of Warcraft. The second I saw that wizard on screen, I was like, he's going to fuck everything up.
Yeah.
I feel like there was no foreshadowing. It was blatantly telling you what's going to happen in the story. And from then on out, I was like, all right, I'm just waiting for this guy to come in and destroy everything. And then they're going to get the guy who looks like a knockoff Charlie Hunnam to come in and save the day. And that little wizard boy who someone probably picked up from a community theater in the middle of Nebraska
mustache.
Came in and
I'm a wizard.
You're a wizard, Harry. He was rejected from Hogwarts, and this is where he ended up.
I turned away from this choir brotherhood. I said no to this. And then he becomes the Grandmaster. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Why are you trusting him as the Grandmaster? Like,
Okay. Spoilers for Warcraft, but bleh. His whole character learns how to defeat this guy who's been... Okay, never mind. Let's, Jesus, I can't do it. There's so much to talk about. This might be its own episode if it gets a sequel. Even if it doesn't,
well, it is going to get a sequel. Do you know how much money that made in China? You bet your ass this is going to get a sequel.
I wonder what that's going to be like. But hold on. This movie does one of the biggest fake outs ever because the opening and the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it is one of the most captivating, interesting, different dynamics I've ever seen. We're seeing an invading army from the point of view, from a small individual, like family point of view of this invading army that they have to invade because their home world is dying. The only hope that they have for their children, their unborn child, is to attack this other world where hopefully we can find resources to keep everyone alive. They've been using this dark magic by one of their new leaders. It's very different. It is a lot to take in at once, but it's so cool. It's cool. It's a cool opening. And then right when we cut to a human being, it goes downhill. I really actually like the opening shot is a duel between a human and an orc. And their lines are like, we've been fighting for thousands of years, but at once we were friends, or something along that line. And you see the history, like, okay, this is what the future is. Let's see what the origin. I could go off on Warcraft because I'm a huge Duncan Jones fan, but I think
it's like a cool dude.
Yeah.
Follow him on Twitter. I want to like have a beer with him.
I want to see more of what he wants to do. I think he just needs smaller scale movies. Not even saying, I think he can handle a movie this large. Like, hats off to him. I could never make the movie that he made. And that's what I think a lot of these critics don't understand. Like, to make the event of Warcraft that he did throughout his life, it's pretty impressive. But it was a disappointment. I hope more from Duncan Jones in the future. I want to see him do like another. He has other movies in the chamber, I'm sure, and I want to see him back at it.
True.
Away from Warcraft. You don't need to be in a franchise, even though we're here in the franchise.
You don't need to be in a franchise, sir.
Okay. I think that's
that's
a good wrap up of the year.
So real quick before we move on, do you want to quickly give a list of what we're looking forward to?
Ooh, good call.
To close out. So I'm gonna rattle off my top 3. I think you probably have something similar.
I want to hear yours because I forgot to prepare.
Starting from the bottom, now we hear. It is a tie between Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and Doctor Strange. I feel like both are going to be great movies that I'm going to have a lot of fun with. Neither of them are going to be something I call my favorite movie, but I am very excited for both of them just to see a more expanded universe.
Same here. I'm excited for Doctor Strange a little bit more, if I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It is cool to see Harry Potter universe back with Fantastic Beasts, but Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, I love Eggs Benedict, and
true. That movie looks gorgeous too. It looks dark as fuck for a Marvel movie that I'm really excited about.
It looks good. It looks
a little darker.
It looks cool. We saw the trailer with Blair Witch.
We did, yeah.
It was cool to see in theaters. I'm really excited for that movie. What else you got?
Definitely. Rogue One. Obviously. Insanely excited for that movie.
We're obviously going to cover Star Wars in the future. Like, we don't have to talk about it.
December is going to be a heavy month of Star Wars, so get ready, folks.
Oh yeah, that's a good call.
But I think right now, at least, I haven't gotten my way through too many trailers. A lot haven't been released yet, especially towards the end of the year. But I am freaking pumped for Arrival.
Yeah, Arrival is...
I've been waiting for a smart and a different alien movie.
Looks like it. It looks like a really good treatment of sci-fi.
Getting a little tired of Grey showing up and kidnapping people, so I'm excited to see a movie that involves...
We watched 4 movies about alien abductions today.
And they're all the same.
They're all the same.
Little gray men who are just coming down and sticking things in our butts. And I want to see a movie that's smart, where they're attempting communication with an alien race that's not necessarily hostile. Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge Amy Adams person, but I really liked her in this trailer. She looked great.
I'm a huge Jeremy Renner fan.
Jeremy Renner.
We have to be Jeremy big fans. Renner. Sorry for offending you on our first episode,
we did,
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy, we love you. Jeremy, look at me. We love you. Jeremy, look at me in the eyes. We love you.
Yeah. But that's probably the movie, at least right now, with my knowledge of what's coming up, I'm freaking pumped for Arrival.
Let me think. Is there anything else coming out that I can think of?
There's a lot coming out, but they haven't really seen too many teasers yet to make a informed decision.
Yeah. No, it looks like a good year.
Knocking things over.
Yeah. And thanks again, folks, for subscribing. Remember to subscribe. Come on, subscribe.
Hit that subscribe button. Get us those analytics.
We need followers.
Gonna get that sponsor money.
Listen, we're like the cult. We're like Heaven's Gate, and you're one of our followers. We've got sweet Nikes. Just hit subscribe.
We've got some sweet Nikes.
Anyway, here we are, ready to talk about the Blair Witch series. The Blair Witch Project and the newly released Blair Witch. We will be skipping Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows, because if you technically look at the cinematic universe...
It never happened.
Kind of a lot like Jurassic World if you think about it.
Yeah, a little bit, because the time difference was so vast.
So vast, and just carbon copy of the same thing. Here we go. Here's my thing. The Blair Witch Project is my favorite horror movie.
Yes.
Every single time I watch it, I love it.
Well, Tyler, why is it your favorite horror movie? What do you like about it?
Well, Kate, I love everything about it. It feels so natural. Every single reaction, you're actually following a found footage film, where the whole first portion of the movie is meeting the characters. We're going to a real documentary style of talking to people in the town, building the lore through subtle dialogue. Here we have our three main characters, building them up. A very naive and egotistical narrator with Heather, Josh, the cameraman, and we have Mike, the sound guy, who is like the new hire. He's just their friend on the side. He comes on, and you learn so much in that first opening, and it feels so natural that it feels like a real documentary.
Yeah, I love the acting in this. It was just so goddamn organic. You really believe that they were three really close friends. When the days started to progress, I had read somewhere that the directors would intentionally mess with them a little bit. They wouldn't give them a lot of food throughout the day. They would intentionally deprive them of sleep and rest, which caused them to become irritated, obviously, and lash out a little bit more with each other than they would if they were just naturally acting.
And at night they would play sounds in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, they'd fuck with them.
Yeah,
and put them in
an insanely cool way to make a documentary movie.
Yeah, so the direction was amazing, and it produced this really organic friends group that it was believable. I mean, a ton of people believed when this movie came out that it was real.
Yeah.
I was just reading the other day that Heather's mother, her actual mother in real life, received some condolence cards from fans because they thought that their daughter was actually murdered from the Blair Witch.
It has one of the coolest websites too, because there's so much back lore on those sites. You can go to it and it's still like a 90s website, but you can look at all these audio files, these news report clippings from the time. It's really astonishing how much lore they built into this movie.
Yeah,
it's a perfect horror movie. I love it. I love it.
So realistic.
It's my favorite horror movie.
I like so
right behind John Carpenter's The Thing. This is. I mean, I know I sound a little passionate about it, but this is. I remember the first time I ever watched it. I was a little kid, and my brother David got a copy of it. I think on VHS. And he snuck it over to our house. He invited all his friends. One night, my parents weren't home. And I snuck down and watched it with him because I was like the little kid and it was all these teenagers. But I snuck down just to watch it. I remember I couldn't sleep that night.
Yeah.
It terrified me. It just felt so real, especially at the time. And even to this day, it feels like a real found footage movie. It feels like somebody found this footage.
Yeah, I think too that also contests to the cinematography they used. It was very college student. There wasn't these beautiful, crazy angles. It was if there was a fucking 22-year-old holding a camcorder. Mm-hmm. Nothing was beautiful about this film. It was very much like someone had a handheld and was helping their friend make a documentary.
One of my favorite things is in the final scene, spoiler alert for the Blair Witch Project, when they're in the house and you see the two camera point of views and you hear Josh screaming from the basement. When they're in the attic, at one point Mike runs downstairs and we're following in his camera. We can hear him perfectly, but we hear Heather in the background screaming, but she sounds very far away. It's because the audio's only recording his camera. So once he gets attacked, all we hear is this dead audio from his camera of her very far away. It's a cool little intricate, realistic style way of showing found footage film. Okay, this is the only audio track we have, so this is what it sounded like. It builds this whole realistic way where all right, I think we should move into the new one.
Yeah.
Because in the sequel, we have Heather's brother, a now 20-something-year-old who's in college, ready to do a documentary on where his sister was lost.
So they initially found this video online that was uploaded by this kid. He had some weird satanic YouTube name, but it was footage from within the house. And there was this very, very quick shot of a female. So the brother, James, believed it was Heather when he saw it. So he reached out to this guy and basically set off a manhunt once he got in contact with him.
So this is from Adam Wingard, a great director who's done some pretty sick movies like The Guest. Remember The Guest?
Yeah, obviously remember The Guest. That's a great movie.
It's one of my favorite movies. He's done also a segment in most of the VHS movies. And he also did You're Next.
Which segment did he do for VHS 2?
VHS 2, he did Phase I Clinical Trials. Oh, it was remember the... they kind of had like a camera in their eye and they saw like kind of a ghost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
it was like that
haunting.
That one now. Yeah. So he's kind of a prodigy of horror. He's a good director. Right now he's doing Death Note for Netflix, which is a remake of this huge manga and anime series that is actually really cool, where this kid gets his notebook, and if you ever write someone's name into the notebook, they will be killed within a couple hours. It's a really gruesome kind of storyline. So I'm excited to see that. But with this movie, it felt like a swing and a miss.
Yeah.
I think this movie had so many great ideas that were halfway thought out. At first, it felt like a great sequel, and then it just felt like a carbon copy.
Yeah, they replayed a lot of the same. They even down to the same shots, like when they were eating sausages by the fire.
The car shot where you don't see the car. Like, there's a point where it becomes homage to there's a point where it becomes like a throwback shot to, okay, obviously you're just doing the same thing. Like, come on. And here's the other thing. They stopped talking. Okay. My first problem with this movie is they stopped talking about how this kid is Heather's brother.
Yeah, dropped really quick.
I had to remember that halfway through. I was like, oh, wait, yeah, that's right. That's why they're even out here. It felt like such an important plot point that was halfway thought out. That was just dropped. They were like, oh, we'll come back to that, but never do.
Yeah, I think to them it was, okay, we have to try and find my sister. She disappeared, blah, blah, blah.
Which is a great
something's
story.
happening. It's now, fight or flight mode where they're basically thinking about themselves. So I think that's what they were trying to communicate. It just wasn't done that well.
It just didn't land. I didn't care about any of these characters. I'm so tired of horror movies that end with a character just being dragged away into darkness. That's not scary anymore. It's not unique. It's just boring. It's like, okay, well, I guess that character doesn't matter anymore.
Can we talk a little bit, though, about the character Lane?
The brother?
No. He was the local with the girlfriend.
Lane, Connor Oberst. Yeah.
If someone came out with a short or just something about his experience and where he was for those 5 days, I would actually love to see it.
It's just him running around the woods going, I don't know, what day is it?
I was hoping a little bit, once you start to learn more about him, I was hoping that maybe you would start to discover that he played a bigger role in this. I think they were trying to allude to that. They just didn't do a good job. One, finding the rope in his bag. I also have a theory that, when they make the comment, one of the girls makes a comment to him about the camera. And they're like, oh, you're still using that old film camera. Or that no one's used those in years.
It's more reliable in the dark.
What if that was Heather's camera?
Oh, shit, Kate.
Because clearly this guy has been in some batshit time loop. He makes the comment to Peter when Peter says that he was in the woods looking, and he goes, oh, well, I guess she brought you back here. I feel like this dude knows more than he's letting on. I don't know if he's been working for this witch for years or if it has been a short time, but there's more to him than was said on screen.
So obviously, everyone, we're going to do spoilers for this movie. And I want to say, one of the coolest scenes was them waking up and seeing all those stick figures around going, oh, it's happening. And then you realize that it was just this kid all along. I thought that was it was Lane. who made like the stick figures at first.
Yeah.
He was like, I just wanted you guys to believe. And it felt like a big moment. I was like, this is cool. This is a cool conflict. It just doesn't pay off again. They just send him off in the woods. He comes back in like this weird time loop. Something that this movie is missing, even though it's a real carbon copy of the first movie, but one thing it's missing is the threat of darkness. The first time it becomes night in this movie is the only time it becomes night. Where in the other movie, we had a moment to breathe during the day. Okay, night's coming again. And I know people argue with me and say, well, that was the point of the plot, is that they're stuck in like a time loop, bruh. So, like, night is day and day is night. So, like, you gotta really respect what the witch is doing. But, like, come on. Like, you're missing one of the best aspects of the first movie, which was during the day, they had time to freak out and try and figure out what to do. But when night came, it was all hell. And you had to wait for morning.
Yeah, those daytime scenes in the first one are what made me actually care about them as characters. You know, seeing these three really desperate 20-something-year-olds just trying to figure out what's going on and work their way through the woods and just get frustrated with each other. That's when I started to actually connect with them a little bit and feel for them and really start to invest in them. Here, it's, you know, as soon as it went night, it's night, and they're in her hell, and there's no chance to really develop them as characters and push them along.
Nothing makes a scene kind of stand out because it always feels like the same place.
Exactly.
After a certain point, which is why I really like the beginning. I will tell this, like, people have been calling this just like a dumb jump scare movie. The first 45 minutes, nothing really happens, and that is kind of refreshing to see them take the time to build it up. Even though some of the scenes are a little heavy-handed, like the whole club scene, that it was just so unrealistic. But it was nice to see it happen. It was just confusing because we're supposed to believe that this is a world where the footage of the first movie exists. One and her brother have seen all this stuff and said, hey guys, maybe we should take some precautions.
Yeah.
But it just felt like, they all got to the woods, crazy shit started happening, they were like, why is this happening? Like, we're only out here to chase a witch.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, guys. You know what happened to my sister's film crew? They all went missing. So we're going to take zero precaution and just see what happens. So we're going to just take zero precaution and just see what happens.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, like, I love the first one. And this movie, like I said, has so many great ideas halfway thought out. The ending. Can we talk about the ending scene?
Oh, let's talk about the ending scene.
Okay. Where she is backing up with the camera, and you kind of see the Blair Witch. She's like a stick figure made of Play-Doh. She's like a stick figure made of Play-Doh, but... I was expecting a whole scene where this girl is backing up through the entire house. We keep seeing things throughout her viewfinder. I was so ready. But instead, they do the same generic horror movie ending. She turns her head, gets snatched into darkness, camera falls. Can we stop doing that ending? It's in so many short films. It's in so many feature movies.
End rant. Yeah, I had a lot of issues with that ending. I thought it dragged on a little bit. The scene with her in the tunnel was just such does not need it to me. That I feel like they could have cut that out. I know they made mention earlier in the film.
I was like, what movie is this? Why is that happening?
Well, they made a quick mention about how there were tunnels under the house. This guy used to have tunnels. They weren't really used. So I guess that was their callback to that. But I thought that was completely fucking arbitrary to anything in the plot. It was a waste of 10 minutes.
Didn't even make sense why the whole scene was happening.
Yeah, that just didn't make sense to me.
I'm going to drop you in this hole that has a bunch of tunnels.
There was a lot of just them running around the house and trying different doors, which
I liked. I didn't mind that.
I thought it was too much. I think like after the first 5 minutes of doing that, they could have kind of cut back. I just felt like it was too much. I was starting to get bored with it.
Again, it needed a better ending.
Yeah,
because
if
they
it was
built
a better
that up,
payoff, I probably wouldn't have minded. But to have this girl just for 5 minutes straight opening doors and then another 5 minutes in the tunnel just to get her ass off.
Oh my God, where are we? Are you here? Oh my God.
It just was not worth it to me. The film actually had me. It did have my interest up probably until the last 10, 15 minutes. And I was like,
it ends so generically.
Yeah.
Which it was such a letdown. And
Lane's obviously involved in this and so much more.
Or there's just more
what happened to
backstory
him?
there.
Are you trying to save him for a sequel? Because I don't really care.
No, he
at
got
this
stabbed
point.
in the throat.
Oh yeah,
he's dead. They just fucking
That's how much
killed
I
him
forgot
all.
about the sequel.
Again, the whole point of the movie was them trying to find the sister. Let's never call back to that again. The whole movie, they never call back to it. Except for like a moment like, this is why I came here, to find out what happened to my sister. And it's like, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't even give us a hint. You don't give us anything? Like, why make that such a huge point in your Act 1 if you're not even going to call back to it at all at the end?
I would love if they reintroduced any of the original cast.
I was so ready with the way they were running around. I would have even accepted a dumb Twilight Zone ending where they ran into her sister running around, like in the ending of the first one. Would have been cool to see how,
because with the time warp, they already established that like time can be fucked with. So maybe they run into her when she first came into the house, freaking out.
That's a good point because in the archive information on the website, they say that they find the footage from the first movie in a spot where it would have had to have been placed there over 100 years ago. So, like, this time warp thing is a general idea in this whole storyline. Yeah. And I was expecting that. I was like, show us the time warp. Make them the bad guy. Make him kill his sister in the ending. Like, make him the guy that beats her over the head. Like, come on. We could write a better ending.
Yeah.
I could write a better ending if I go to Starbucks right now and order a pumpkin spice latte. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll have enough sugar to come up with a better ending than whatever this hit black, cut to black, she gets dragged away. Okay, I guess we're done with this. Let's move on to the next movie. It's like, no, come on, treat this movie with a little respect.
Yeah.
You just ended on a flat note. That's my biggest regret.
Yeah.
This actually might be one of my biggest letdowns. I don't even mind Suicide Squad now. I do like this movie,
Everyone's just letting us down this year.
That's the thing. I do like this movie.
2016, we are done with you. You've done us dirty too many times.
I will admit, it was the sequel that I'm glad it exists because I want more Blair Witch movies.
Yeah.
Because I love the first one so much. So this one is good enough. It's a good companion piece, but it just falls flat at the end.
Yeah. Agreed.
Cool. I think we've been ranting for enough here. We're in the middle of the woods still. Should probably get home.
Yeah. It's getting a little dark.
Yeah, but good thing that witches don't exist, right?
They don't exist.
They don't exist.
But kind of do.
Do they?
Maybe.
Then why did we come out
here?
Who
can ever be sure?
Oh, my God. Why did we come out here then?
Well, we were going to eat s'mores, and then you forgot the goddamn marshmallows, Tyler, so...
Damn it, you're right. Thank you so much for listening again, guys. We got to go get some s'mores. It's been a ride. Is there anything else you want to say about Blair Witch?
I think I've said all there needs to be.
Yeah. Thanks again for listening. Subscribe. Please tell your friends. Everybody, it really matters to us. Thanks again for listening. We'll try to get out of these woods. Kate, do you want to say a little goodbye?
Bye.
I am so sorry.